Hey everybody, it's Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we have Sarah Wickett with us. How are you?
Hey Tom, I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. So, welcome to the podcast. And for those new to you as a musician, do you want to give kind of a little intro about who you are and your music?
Absolutely. I feel like that's always a loaded question, but I'm from Beaverton, Ontario. I grew up in a really small town up north, and I moved to Toronto to pursue my music career. And just like from a young age, I always knew that I loved performing. I was a really shy kid, though, so I was performing in my room. In front of a mirror for the longest time. And one day my parents walked in on me and they were like, "What are you doing in here? Like, you need to go take some vocal lessons and like, we need to get you onto this thing." So after that, they put me in vocal lessons. And from there, I kind of just continued wanting to be a performer. So I moved to Toronto, like I said, to pursue music, as well as I did a journalism course at Humber College as well. And yeah, it's been a few years since then, and I've just kind of been in the city performing and doing the whole music thing, and it's been great.
Did you grow up in, like, was your family a musical family, or was that more just you taking on that role?
So I grew up, my dad played guitar and my uncle plays guitar. So there are a few musical people in my family, but it wasn't anything like crazy. Like no one that really wanted to be like a star or anything. So it's a little bit of a long story, but my dad, we found out that he is actually adopted, and we ended up finding his biological mother about 10 years ago, and we're super close with her now. And we wanted to reach out to his biological father as well. And when trying to reach out to him, we actually found out he's a famous jazz musician.
Okay.
Um, and he's like toured the whole world and everything like that. So I guess that's where the inspiration comes from.
hmm
Unfortunately, wasn't able to meet him. He did pass away a couple years ago, but yeah, kind of answered all the questions as to why I have such a want to, be a performer.
For sure. When you were starting out with music, did you have any kind of inspirations you were looking at as kind of a guiding light, what you wanted to be as a musician?
When I was little, it was definitely the whole Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and then later Shania Twain. I think really just paved the way in country for women, and not only just in country, but in a lot of different genres with all the stuff that she was experimenting with. So I think she was one of the biggest inspirations for me, and just kind of said, you can do this if you really want to. Even though we're women, we're allowed to kind of do whatever we want, and I'm going to show you how.
hmm do you have any kind of newer inspirations kind of now as things are going?
Yeah, I feel like I'm really inspired by up and coming artists like myself, just because we're all kind of in the struggle of it, and we kind of can relate to each other a lot. So a lot of my inspirations are up and coming artists right now, especially coming out of Nashville. I know a lot of Canadian country artists moved down to Nashville and are kind of just doing their thing over there. Like Megan Patrick, she's not really up and coming anymore since moving to Nashville, and like Madeline
hmm
Merlot. All of those girls have been really big inspirations for me.
Yeah, and you've definitely come to the right place. We'd like to talk to all the up and coming artists for sure. So,
Yeah.
do you have a specific process when you're coming up with your music? Like, do you like to go hide in a corner and write for hours on end, or just kind of inspired as something pops up?
Usually, if something pops up, unless I'm going into a write, I always like to have something prepared. So I have like a titles list that kind of just gets added to whenever I'm feeling like something would be a cool title. And usually, when I'm going into a write, I pull from that. But yeah, I usually write all about like my life experiences. So it's usually just if I'm driving down the street or on the lake somewhere, just doing something and some inspiration comes up, I'll just have to write it down right away and then hopefully get to a guitar as soon as possible.
hmm Yeah, I imagine once inspiration strikes, you want to, go while the iron's hot pretty quickly.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, so you write your stories, but does everything come from your own life stories, or do you pull from outside sources of things?
I feel like it's hard. It's really hard for me to not have experienced it myself. I don't know if that's like a flaw as an artist or as a songwriter, but it's just so much easier for me to relate, obviously, to my own experiences. There was one time I wrote about a breakup that my best friend went through, which is like a breakup is all familiar feeling. So I was able to like pull from breakups that I've went through and kind of help her through that. But it was about their relationship and not about a relationship I'd been in. So that's like the only song that I've kind of written that wasn't about an experience I had. But even just like singing something that I haven't gone through, it's like the passion isn't there as much, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
No, it makes
yeah.
sense. And so one thing I read about you, and you made some headlines with being the first artist to do a bilingual song and with Mama's Boy. Can you give me a little bit more insight with what that actually is?
Sure, yeah. So over the past couple years, I've been trying to create this new genre. It's a Desi pop country is what it's called. And it's basically Desi music. I've been learning Punjabi, so I wanted to kind of incorporate that into some of my songs, whether that be me singing in Punjabi or just adding some instruments such as like a sitar, a tabla, and just kind of making opportunities for South Asian artists in the country music industry, because there's not really any South Asian artists in the country music industry doing anything right now. And I guess I was the first person to feature a South Asian artist in a country song in North America, at least. So that was really cool. And just to be able to work with like a South Asian team as well was amazing, because I adore their music and their work ethic, and I think they definitely should be breaking into country as well. So it's been fun.
Mm-hmm. It definitely had an interesting feel to it. I listened to it beforehand, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is fun. I like this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, and I'm still learning. I mean, it's all a learning curve, especially when you're doing something new. So the Punjabi singing in a different language is so hard, but I'm trying, and it seems like it's going well. So it's
Mm-hmm.
good.
Yeah. So did your love for like the Punjabi stuff happen earlier on, or is that more something you've kind of grown into recently?
It's definitely more recent. I feel like as an artist, we have many different jobs. So I'll tell you the full story of how I kind of got into loving this culture. But I was working in experiential marketing on the side to kind of provide for my music career. And I was going across Ontario to different colleges and universities, working with different international students. And I just met so many Indians, and I was just like blown away by their culture and just how nice and just welcoming they were to just kind of like invite anybody over to their house, and like how they have all this beautiful and delicious food. And it's just like, it was really cool. I remember the first time I ever hung out with a group of these Punjabi students. They all live in like a big house together, and every night it's just like a huge meal. They all cook everything from scratch, and then after dinner they're either praying or they're dancing, and we're doing like bhangra in their living room, and it was just so much fun. And I was like, wow, like their life is so fun, and like I love their culture, and it just seems like such a great time. So that's kind of where I was introduced to their culture, and from there obviously started listening to the music and just really starting to learn about the struggles that they face, not only the fun part of their culture, but you know, everyone kind of goes through struggles as well. So yeah, I've just been honestly trying to be an advocate for them if I can, and just like introducing country music to South Asian culture however I can, respectfully.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's great to hear. The inclusiveness is always a nice thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with COVID and everything happening, did you jump into social media pretty hardcore and try to work your music around that a lot?
I did, yeah. And I feel like the work ethic from COVID is still a thing now. Like I just feel like I constantly still need to be putting in content. But I loved it. I love making content. I thought the pandemic was really great for that, and just like sparking a lot of like forced creativity kind of thing. But it you know, there's so many artists that blew up over COVID. There's so many good things that came over us just being at home. But aside from performing, like obviously we didn't get to do that, but yeah, I think definitely pros and cons of the pandemic for sure.
And I find that it just gave people an opportunity to experiment and try more things and to broaden their horizons a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, it showed us what we can do from the comfort of our own homes, and yeah, creativity was at an all-time high, I feel like.
For sure. And you have a new single in Good Friends. That's I don't remember the date. Is that coming out soon? Or is that already
it's coming out this Friday.
Okay. So we want to tell us a bit about Good Friends and kind of the story behind that?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I wrote the song back in 2020, actually, right at the beginning of the pandemic, which is kind of funny because we weren't really seeing our friends. So I wrote it with Jesse Slack, and I guess we were just kind of like missing being around our people. So yeah, I think just the song is about knowing who your true friends are and not being afraid to kind of stand up for yourself. And I'm very much about being on the same wavelength as like the people I surround myself with. And I think the lyrics really show that. And I also feel like Good Friends is like Mama's Boy's cousin musically. Like they both have that darker feel, and they're both super, super strong songs. I actually wrote Mama's Boy after Good Friends, which is kind of funny, but yeah, I feel like I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be a really fun summer jam that people can just kind of jam out to with their besties all summer long.
Yeah, I got a chance to listen to it. It's definitely a fun. It has nice energy to it, and it has a good feel to it. Anyways,
thank you. Yeah.
So with the new single, so that's coming out soon. Do you have any kind of tours? Do you want to do live music? Do you have any plans for anything like that?
Yeah, so I do have a few things coming up in July that I'm just waiting to announce, but some shows for sure. I'm dying to get out in front of people and just play these new songs that I haven't been able to play for the past 2 years. But yeah, we're releasing a music video for Good Friends. We're actually filming that the same day it's being released, so it'll be coming out a little bit later, but I'm really excited about that, and just to kind of have all of my friends in the music video and just have like a big party. So that's going to be really fun, but yeah, definitely excited to be performing.
Have you been to any shows recently? I guess like the music scene's opening up there a bit more, and
It really is. So I was just at the CMAOs a couple weekends ago, which was really fun. Went to walk the red carpet there and just kind of caught up with everyone that we haven't seen in years. So that was like a big family reunion. That was really fun. And yeah, just trying to, I feel like a lot of festivals and stuff are honoring the lineups that they had set for 2020. So it's been rough, honestly. It's been tough trying to get into festivals and getting some shows, but you know, we're trying for the end of the summer.
yeah, I think this year I assumed it was going to be pretty haywire when everything came up and festival season in full swing and everyone wants to do everything possible. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just kind of, you know, still enjoying making content and just like letting things come as they want to or as they need to. And I'm excited for opportunities that are going to be coming up in later in summer.
Do you have any fun collabs and stuff or like that you're trying to work on?
Yeah, so we're actually working on another DC pop country song. I'm going to be working on that with Dustin Bird. He's going to be producing it, which is really cool. I'm thinking about getting a featured artist for that song, another Punjabi artist, which would be amazing. I feel like there's so many Punjabi artists that are coming into the mainstream music industry, not just in country, but like in pop. I know Diljit Dosanjh is collaborating with Tory Lanez, which is so cool because Tory Lanez is, you know, huge in North American music industry. So I think the time is now to kind of be doing this whole Desi pop country thing. So we're doing another song, and those are always so much fun because you never really know what you're gonna get, and usually the producers just kill it, and it's always so much fun. It's like it's more fun than doing just a regular country song, because country songs, you know how they're gonna go, but you never know what a Desi pop country song is gonna be like until the producer just sent it to you. And sometimes, like I know for Mama's Boy, it went in a completely different direction than we initially had for it, and I love it.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I do have a couple of questions I like to ask everybody. It gives us a little bit more insight to who you are as a person and kind of feeling more about music taste and things like that. The first one I have is, what is something on your go-to playlist that other people might not expect that you listen to?
Oh my gosh.
You can
Let
pull
me
up your playlist too if you like.
do that. Let me pull up my playlist. Um, I mean, I have like a full-on, what is it called? Indian Fire playlist, which looking at me, you probably, if you had no idea who I was, you probably would be like, why do you have an Indian playlist? So that's always fun. But I don't know. Let me see. I have a playlist called That New New for all the new pop songs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, my music taste has such a wide range. Like I listen to not so much like hardcore rap, but R&B to country to Punjabi music. Um, so yeah, I don't.
A nice mix for sure.
Yeah. Oh, so there's this song called Senorita, and it's by a Punjabi artist. It's like a Spanish type song. Like he's singing in Punjabi, but he's also singing the bridge in Spanish, which I thought was really cool because I'm all about, like just crossing over genres. It's called Senorita by Pav Daria.
Okay.
And it's cool. It's like Punjabi, but it's Spanish. And I'm actually working on a song right now that has more of a Latin vibe that was kind of inspired by him in that song. So
Nice. I'll make sure to check that out for sure.
yeah, it's cool.
Mm-hmm. So my next question, this one always makes people think the most. So just to be prepared.
Okay.
What is one thing that you think should be asked more in interviews that's not asked enough?
Oh Lord.
I told you to be prepared.
Yes. Okay. I really love when people do their research and they have like questions about just like random stuff. So obviously as an artist, you're posting all of this stuff all the time, like on Instagram stories. And if an interviewer does their research and has kind of been like following the artist, at least for like the couple weeks leading up to the interview, and they ask a question about like, I remember there was, I think last year I did an interview about for Mama's Boy, and I had this crazy experience on my Sea-Doo where I got stuck and stranded in the middle of the lake. And the interviewer actually saw that and asked me that's like about that story. So I think it's really cool when, interviews do the research and like are interested in your life and not only just the basic questions like who are your inspirations, what do you do on the day-to-day kind of thing. So I like the personal questions.
Yeah, it's one place to have a cookie cutter question, but then getting to know more about who you are kind of makes your music hit a little bit harder too.
Yeah, and it feels a bit more personal, not only to me and to you, but to the listener as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always like that type of thing too. I try to do a nice mix both, at least you have to have cookie cutters. So
of course. For sure.
So one of my final questions I have for you, and this is a two-parter in a sense. What is a piece of advice that you were given when you were coming up in music that you held on to really tightly?
Don't be afraid of the word no, or like don't be afraid of hearing no for an answer. Kind of take that as inspiration, and you're going to hear so many no's and have so many doors shut in your face, but just kind of use that and use it as motivation and use it to grow and learn and kind of figure out why someone is saying no to you and what's the kind of hidden message behind that as well. I also have another one, but as I was saying that, I just remembered, don't be afraid to ask for help. I think a lot of, at least me, before I had this piece of advice, I was like, I can do everything myself. You know, I like things the way they are, and I'm fine just doing everything. I don't really need help, which I think that's not the greatest way to think. And so learning to ask for help is actually very helpful. So yeah.
I think most creatives probably go through that same type of thing. I know for myself, I suck at asking for help, and I do everything. So like Hidden Beats is multi-channeled, and I do 90% of it on my own. And my wife keeps on telling me that I do too much. So I think most creatives have that feel for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, some people can just do it better than you, and it's just up to you to find those people that are on the same wavelength as you. Obviously, don't just ask for random help. But yeah, I think help is always good.
Yeah, for sure. Now, the second part to that, what is a piece of advice that you would give to somebody after everything you've learned that is coming up into music at this point?
I think just if you believe in yourself and if you believe in what you're doing enough, things will happen for you. Like, it's all about mindset, I think. And if you're in a really bad mood and you're thinking all negative, chances are things are going to continue to be negative for you. So just being able to, like, if you are in a bad mood or if you do have a negative mindset at the time, just kind of being able to switch that into thinking positive and seeing the positive and the good in every situation. I think is really good. And obviously, as creatives and artists, we have to kind of be like, this is a far-fetched dream, but it's not. Like, I'm going to do this and I don't care what stands in my way. And I think just like living by that, fake it till you make it, if I may, then yeah, I think you have to kind of pretend you're living the way you want to live before you're actually going to be living that way.
Yeah, more like a talk it into existence kind of thing. Make
Yes.
sure you're on that path for sure.
Exactly.
No, that's definitely great advice, and I think a lot of people can take that and absorb that, and that's why I asked that question at the end. So there's always a final piece of advice that anyone can take home.
Yeah, amazing.
That's pretty much all I have for you. We went through everything pretty quick from what I wrote down. So
really,
is there any...
I feel like I've been talking so much.
No, I mean, no, we're right about on track. Like I said, about half an hour is what we typically like to run.
Okay,
Is there any kind of final words of wisdom, tidbits, things that you want to leave to your fans and viewers and listeners?
Oh geez, I feel like I just gave so much advice, but I guess just like thank you for listening, and thank you for allowing me to continue to be creative and just supporting me no matter what. It's always nice to have people in your corner, and even thank you to you, Tom, for doing this interview and just also believing in the song and believing in me continually. And it's all good.
And where can everybody find you social media wise?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram and YouTube at Sarah with 2 H's and 2 W's. And then mostly if you just search Sarah Wickett anywhere, you can find me. Not all of my handles are the same, but if you go to sarahwickett.com, all of my stuff is there as well.
Okay, I'll make sure to link that in the description so people can follow you a little bit easier.
Sounds good.
So that's it for me. Like I said, I'm looking forward to all the new music coming out of your camp, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to chat with you.
You too, and hopefully we'll have another chat sometime.
Sounds good.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.